stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You guys asked about the minutes. The minutes were not available because we are still waiting on the code section from the county attorney, so they're not available.
I presume you'll try to get them on for next week then.
Yeah, they'll just be multiple. Once we get that code section, they'll be available. Just waiting on that.
About number 7, approve the claims. Everybody had a chance to look through them?
Yep. I just had one comment, which is on page 6. I did again. Raycom, which is the paging project, is short of $108,000.
I think that's the final.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I had. Anybody else have?
I got one question for Ben. Page 1, IT hardware infrastructure.
That's for the licensing and support for all of our firewall switches and wireless for 3 years.
Okay, got it. And then I maybe have one for you. Okay, mine's kind of a stupid question, I guess. Schumacher Elevator, do we have a yearly contract with them, or do they? We do.
I believe so. They do annually.
Right.
I don't know if it's annually or if it's quarterly. They come regularly. I'm sure Bart can see them down there. I don't know how often they come. No, Bart?
I wanted to say that it's quarterly.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It's more than annual. I think they do something annually and then they do more quarterly. So yeah.
I was just curious if they had a.
But you may pay them maybe yearly, do you, for the whole?
I think it's more than yearly. It could be quarterly too.
I mean, it ain't that much.
No, it's just a
No.
maintenance fee.
Yes, that's why I was just curious if he had a maintenance
They
contract.
also do the inspection of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and I don't know where that contract would be. I'm sure there's something
Okay.
there, but
Enough said.
yep.
I have a motion to
Yes.
accept the make that motion.
Okay.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You want to get that to Rick, please?
We discussed number 8, which is land rent to Cedar Valley. How long do we want to rent it? What's everybody's opinion?
What's customary, 3 years.
3,
2.
2?
Yeah, I think.
Well, you can justify anything you want. 2, 5, 10.
That's what it was before, I think. Because, I'm not sure.
I thought it was 3.
I know
I don't rent land, and
Brian's renting the ground down there. That's a 2-year lease.
Okay.
Probably depends on what it's for. If it's pasture or land. I don't know.
Probably not, I believe.
Yeah.
I always thought they did 3-year contracts with
Well, like I said, you can set it up wherever you want, but majority of them, I think, that I know of is 3. And that's what I thought. I myself don't want to be screwing around with this every couple of years.
Well, then you don't want to mess with it every couple of years, then go 3.
3, all right with you?
Yeah, the other thing is, on a 3-year lease, it's easier to forget about it.
Well, that's true too, but
I don't care, no matter to me.
But the only way I'd be able to remember is if you put it on an annual. And I think that's too short.
yeah.
So, yeah.
If it's gonna be a corn bean rotation, then it makes sense to have it 2 years, because then, otherwise you'll have,
I don't know if we got, Ben, if we don't have such thing, I'm sure Ben could come up with something.
Well, those contracts written up by the county attorney,
Yes.
then would that fall on him to keep that in the schedule?
yeah.
Because he has is he the one that sends out the notice of? Yeah, I mean, he sends out the notices to all of it, so.
And I don't know how many contracts there are. I know that conservation probably has a few. So,
Well,
I don't know who keeps tabs of it.
the ones that the Board of Supervisors ran is county home and then down at the landfill.
Hey, see, landfill, you ain't got nothing to do with no more.
We don't have anything to do with landfill.
No,
That's landfill.
that's all landfill. That's the commission.
Okay.
County has nothing
Basically,
to
make a motion that we advertise it for a 3-year lease.
Okay, you want to second it?
Is, now, it's due now?
Yes, they're,
You
it's
have
not
to
rented.
in March.
Oh, it's not right?
Yep.
Isn't the first part of rent due in March?
Yes.
Yeah, March,
So-
Yes.
usually March. When
That's
is
why-
the rent due?
Huh?
March 1st?
March and September.
Okay.
That's why it's not rented right now.
It's not.
No, the contract is void. And that's why we need to move on this. It's advertised for 2 weeks.
It came up last year, and we
Yep.
found out that we hadn't notified the tenants.
Yep,
And so with the tenant not being notified, he automatically
rolled over. Yep,
for another year.
That's what I thought. And I thought that this coming year was
It ended in September
the old lease did.
yes.
because it got,
Actually, well, over a year ago it ended. But since he didn't get notified, that's why he got the permit last year,
Oh,
for the same money.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3 years.
Got that, Gina?
yeah, I did.
Probably look back on some of the,
I can look up the advertisement
yes.
and that
just
sort of
change
thing.
the
You'll
date.
have to contact the county attorney to get the lease written up.
Yep,
Or, you can get the preliminary information set up so you're ahead of the schedule before the advertisement.
yes.
So that way you're not waiting on,
Yes,
Get 'em more
hopefully you can
done.
get it sent off this week, get to the papers.
I will look in the paper or in our notices.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it don't have to be rented March 1st.
You don't have to, but. Number 4, approve Class C liquor license for Terra Hills.
So moved.
Let's see the paperwork, do we have it?
Yep.
Is it all in order?
Haley emailed that out to you as well.
Yeah, I remember the letter. I would second that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All in favor of
Aye.
approving Terra Hills? Aye.
So only you need to sign that, and then you just sign right here.
Okay,
And then date it today, please.
okay.
Sorry.
Okay, should I bring up number 5 for everybody? Or do we pretty well know about that I discussed that before, of the COVID vaccine for the county employees?
This is point of contact.
Which we have, I asked Barb Greenlee, and she graciously said she would take on the job.
So you need a motion to appoint her?
I suppose we should.
as a point of contact.
Yes, a point of contact.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay, and second.
Okay, all in favor of appointing Barb as a contact person for the COVID shots, Benton County? All in favor?
This is for county employees.
Yes.
Yes, not the whole of Benton County.
No, just
Right.
employees.
Yep. Just want to make sure.
Yep.
Okay. I second that.
Okay,
Didn't
all in
I?
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Barb.
You're welcome. It'll cost you.
Usually does.
We'll give you an extra vaccination.
No,
We only got a couple minutes, so Mark, why don't you go ahead and start handing stuff out
I'll do that.
before we get into these other things, yes, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, Mark.
This application I handed out to you is for changing land use from Benjamin Robbie. Ben currently lives in Urbana. He'd like to change the use of 2 acres of land that they have that's located in the southeast quarter, the northeast quarter, section 338211, or Leroy Township. He owns 12.25 acres at that location. On your application packet there, I've given you a copy of the aerial and his site sketch, and then of course a copy of the plat map where this is located. The land that he owns here, the 12.25 acres, is just a little bit south and west of his mother's home that's located at 7919 19th Avenue. The access to this property, which you can see on his sketch where he sketched it in, it would be approximately 1.25 miles south of 78th Street. It's on the west side of 19th Avenue. And what he wants to do there, you can see by his application and his sketch, he wants to build a new home and he wants to put outbuildings on that land, which would be towards the rear of that parcel. As far as the land that we're looking at here, the land that's under review, it's not in production. The soil here is a silt loam. It does have a fair amount of slope associated with it. The average CSR for this site is a 43. They do plan on a new driveway. As you can see, he sketched it in. Randy Sherwood reported to me that he did actually approve a driveway for this parcel last summer. There was a work in the right-of-way permit issued. Culvert was picked up and construction actually started on it last fall. Joe Robbie, who is Ben's uncle, was doing the dirt work, and the plan is that he will finish it and that lane back to the house site this coming spring. Weather set in on them this particular fall and they weren't able to get it finished. But anyway, that's the plan, that it would get finished yet this spring. Randy did ask in his report that I mentioned to you that there's a possibility they could get snowed in at this location and they might hang out for a couple nowadays, and I'm sure that Ben's well aware of all of that because this is where Ben grew up. So, this was his late father Jerry and his mother Diane's acreage back in the day, and so he's pretty much aware of all of that. The new home will need a septic system. The soil type that exists there, which is common with this particular soil, with it being a silt loam, there is a possibility that the conventional soil absorption system will not work, but we'll deal with that, and it'll all be looked at this spring when it's time for Ben to build. Rural water is available to this site, and the plan is that he's gonna follow that driveway back with the water line back to the building site. Overall land use pattern in this area, which you can pretty well see, and I think you probably already know, it's pretty much farmland here. Several ponds in the area here because we have rolling terrain. We're west of Hannon Lake area down here. It's mostly family members with rural residences that are right in this particular area. We notified 4 adjacent property owners. We also placed legal notices in the official newspapers of Benton County as were required. We did not receive any calls prior to today's hearing. In respect to our comprehensive plan and our ordinance, there's no conflicts at all with this that I can see. Ben wants to build a new house on land that's belonged to his family for some years, so that's basically it. I don't see any problems with it at all.
Move to approve.
I have a second.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor of granting the land use change for Benjamin Robbie? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
We got 5 minutes. Can we do the Easy Cog Transportation Building Contract? I have a copy of it, if you guys want to look through it. This is over the building, right next door. Mr. Thompson, I believe, is the one that generated this contract.
He did.
Between Benton County and Easy Cog.
So Easy Cog owns the building.
After we sign it. I don't have, without off the top of my head, how much they have paid us so far.
Easy Cog, I
Yeah,
don't,
that's funny. I had it, I mean, I got it, but I don't have it.
in front of you.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Yes. And like I said, we still got a couple outstanding bills yet that they haven't sent us yet. But
Morning, Ron.
How soon is she ready to occupy it?
the contract starts today,
I understand.
but it's 99.9% done right now.
He said he was able to use the bathroom in there yesterday. I mean, that's an improvement.
Yeah, we have water now.
There wasn't any problems. There isn't gonna be any problems with you finishing it up after this is signed.
No, see, they only own the building. You know, the ground it's the building sitting on. We still own the ground on the outside.
It's a 30-year
Yeah.
lease,
Yeah.
you know. It's,
The only thing
as we
I
discussed,
had a kind of a stupid question. I says, you know, it's leased for $1 a year. It says in the contract. I said, do we actually gotta send them $1 or a check, you know, every year? Well, I could not get an answer out of anybody, so I will ask that at the next Easy Cog meeting, that do we have to send them $1, so.
well, I wonder if we could just send a one lump sum.
30.
Exactly.
I'm right there.
Well, it would be a
I'm on
lot
that
easier,
plan.
and then we're not, you know, in default for not paying painted.
The
Or
county
picnic.
attorney says, they just put it in language that way, because most of the people on a $1 a year lease, the dollar never actually changes hands, so.
I think it'd be wise in your.
So I'm just curious, so
Yeah.
that's kind of a stupid question or stupid.
Just write one check for
Yep.
30 years.
Yep.
Yeah,
Otherwise, something's
Okay.
gonna fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
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 So do I,
You don't have as, well, you can second it.
yeah, it don't look good. Just wait, we'll wait for Gary.
I understand, because you're on the ECOG board and you're, yeah, I get it. And I'll gladly make that motion as
Okay.
for what I saw, all the terms are what we agreed upon before construction.
Correct.
Been talking this way forever and a day.
Yep.
Very excited to see her get moved in.
Yeah. Now, off the side note that we're maybe planning on actually moving her this weekend, so depends on the weather.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, I think you could wait and hold off and choose a colder one. I mean,
Okay. This morning would have been nice.
right, I mean, whatever works for you.
Okay. I thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Gary, I have a motion by Mr. Primer for me signing the lease agreement with EasyCog. Do I have a second?
Yes.
All right, all in favor? Chairperson signing the lease with EasyCog?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that one's done. Mark, back on schedule.
This application that I just handed you is for a farm exemption. It's from Trent Kramer. Trent and his father own property, and they go by Harder Springs LLC. Basically, what we have here is that Trent has applied for the farm exemption because he would like to put a farm building on this land at this point. In the future, he wants to build a home. That's not going to happen right away, but he does want to be able to do that when the time comes. And due to the fact this is totally undeveloped land, I told him that he would need to apply either for land use or for farm exemption. He has chosen to apply for farm exemption because he owns 180 acres here. He and his father purchased it. It's in section 1685-9 in Benton Township. If you look at that aerial I provided you there, it's right on the curve. Comes off of the road that goes back to Big Timber. It's just right before you get to the Big Timber complex on the north side of, that's 58th Street Drive. There is an existing driveway that is there now that goes through the county right-of-way. County did that curve some years ago when that road was built there, and there is some county right-of-way there. Basically, they have 34 acres there that is tillable. You can kind of see it on the aerial that I provided you there. I highlighted a little bit in yellow for you. The rest of that land is pretty much all timber, but there is 34 to 35 acres there that is tillable. Corn soybean rotation is what he plans, and that's why he applied for this application. Our ordinance says you have to have 21 or more used in commercial production of farm products, so they actually have that, so it qualifies for the farm exemption. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention this morning and see if you would approve that.
What's the CSR?
The CSR of that land is fairly low. I don't know that I even looked it up, to tell you the truth. That particular soil type out in there is reasonably sandy, and I would guess it to be somewhere in the 30 to 40 range.
It's pretty rugged out there.
Pardon?
It's pretty rugged.
Yes.
Yes, so.
Board of Supervisors?
Motion.
Okay, we're not on there yet. I can put you on speakerphone if you want to hold on and listen in. All right.
Have a motion and a second to approve the application for
Who
Trent.
made that motion? I was on the phone.
Gary.
Okay.
Gary, Rick, second it.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Roll call,
Mark.
Yeah.
We have a few more minutes here, Rick. Good. Minute and a half, either sit quietly or you got any reports to give anybody that are short.
Real quick, I had the early childhood development, about an hour and a half meeting, Zoom. Not all there was to report on that. Also, I got a call from a resident south of Newhall, where the dump truck went off. And there was some concern about not having snow fence up. Yeah, well, the county doesn't put snow fence up. And the individual thought it might be a good idea if we did. However, I would be more in favor of looking into the the Iowa crop snow fence program. I don't know if they do that with counties or not. Would either of you gentlemen have a clue?
We'd have to start our own project, you know what I mean? The state does it, of course, and the state pays, of course, very well. Wish I farmed along the highway, but we'd have to start our own project, you know what I mean? And it's not cheap.
Well, neither is basically totaling out a dump truck.
No.
So, I didn't know if that was something we could look into to see if there's state funding available to help start a county program or not.
Well, we could look into it, but like I said, it's very expensive,
I wouldn't even have a clue where to start.
very expensive. I know, like I said, I have neighbors around there that do put it up for the state, you know. and
Well, I'm
there's-
sure that they know a contact.
Yes, for the state, yeah.
There are some people that will put corn one year and then they'll put beans the next year, but they'll put,
Oh, I understand
12 or
that they
15.
rotate that. You can see that along the highways
Yeah, they
constantly.
just move it up.
Yeah, about every other year you
Yep.
get nice,
Yep,
uh,
yep.
they do it
a
every year.
buffer every other year, but
They do it every year.
But they move it over.
Yeah.
They put 6 rows of beans next to the highway and then it's 6 rows of corn, so
so anyway, would you check with them?
I can.
You know,
I don't know what the state paid this year, price-wise, but.
they pay by the bushel or something, don't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
And I don't know how much participation we would get, and that would be primarily on the hard surface roads,
Correct.
so
Okay. All right.
I promised I would bring it up.
Okay. You brought it up.
Thank you.
Mr. Tibbet.
We are here today to talk about the funding for our SART coordinator. That is our sexual assault response team. I'm sure everybody's gotten a letter from Riverview Center at this point. That same letter has gone out to 4 counties that I know of. And they have just changed the names and the county and sent it out to everybody.
Brandy, can you hear fine?
I can, yeah.
Okay, just checking.
There is a legal response from one of the county attorneys involved in this. Is that correct, Brandy?
Say that one more time, Sheriff. I couldn't hear you well.
There's a response from one of the county attorney's offices that's been involved in this project.
Yeah.
To their
That is my
letter.
understanding is that Jones County has legally responded and Buchanan County has responded as well.
Okay. And I don't know if Dave has been sent a copy of this letter or not. At that time when this thing she talks about in there, which I have very little knowledge of because I was told it was a personnel matter, and of course, they won't discuss, nobody wants to discuss that. I get it. Jerry probably has more information on this than either myself or Mark Johnson. Jerry?
Well, I don't know how much more I actually had, other than I had not seen this letter since I'm no longer official police chief in Urbana. But, so I hadn't seen this till now. I can tell you that there's a lot more that has gone on than just what is in this letter. And obviously this is not probably the time to discuss that here in an open meeting. But you know, the whole purpose of having this new approach that we worked on along with the other counties was, I guess, to give us a sense of unity in what we do and how we proceed on with these types of cases and work together, which is something that we felt was not going to happen based upon the information that was provided to us. So this move that is made by 4 counties is certainly nothing that was done to make these folks mad or anything like that. Is what was thought would be the best interest and would serve the citizens in the counties that we all, or they still do, serve.
My
I can
question,
tell you there's more involved. How this came about, there are more than 4 counties that were involved in that. I mean, there were several counties, several different agencies that not only included law enforcement, county attorneys, medical staff, that were involved in this thing as to how this approach has been taken, and I'm glad you walked in, Mr. Paxton. But we were discussing, you've seen the letter from Riverview, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I had told them is there's a lot of things that are not in that letter that have transpired prior to this new 4 county possible, this new approach for law enforcement, and not only law enforcement, but all the agencies to work together, utilizing Brandy, than what's in that letter. And there were, I don't know the exact number of different agencies that were involved in this in the beginning, but it was more than 4.
Yeah, it was the region. The region consisted of
14?
Yeah.
14 counties, I believe.
And in that letter that Joyce sent out, stated that this position would be for what's your wording? As a
the victims.
Victim counselor.
Victim counselor, and that is not.
That is not
That's
correct.
not correct. Brandy, for that position, was for a coordinator. And we just, I don't know if anybody got this letter from the Iowa Department of Justice, kind of explaining, I don't know who I need to give this to.
Chairs over there.
I don't know if you guys seen that letter at all.
Nope.
From the state. You guys can have copies of that.
I told them that it would be a little hard, even though obviously we probably would like to do it, but if we can't do it here, that to go into some other details as to what precipitated this whole possible change.
Yeah, obviously, I don't know if that'd be have to be a, I don't know if that's a closed session.
Well, I think we'd probably have to get the advice by the county attorney to see whether that was something that would need to be, closed type of thing, or.
Well, in your proposal last week, or their proposal last week, it indicated right here that it's, the 4 counties would share, would each contribute $13,000 for a total of $52,000 for a victim, witness, sexual assault response team coordinator.
Correct.
That is it. She's not doing any counseling.
Yes. So,
She would be the coordinator for our ongoing project. And in this project, we've got some training for dispatch, training for officers, policy, procedures, in moving forward with these types of cases. And we would like to keep this project alive.
well, I can see where,
We feel the advantages to doing that are great for the citizens of all the counties.
well, I could understand why the Riverview Center would be a little upset if we're looking at not funding them,
So they are being funded.
or as far as Benton counties.
Yeah, they got a grant. This is just
I get
extra money that
Right.
they're looking at.
Yeah, from Benton County. I
From
should-
Benton County.
Sure.
Obviously.
So-
But, they do have a grant.
Mhm. Yeah. So that's, I get it.
And as far as that letter and stating that we're personal friends of Brandy, we're professional acquaintances. She's established a lot of contacts, professional contacts through us, with us. And there's really no answer to why she was terminated. And again, that could be covered on another day, but just out of the blue, she's gone. We've been doing this for a few years now with Brandy, and getting it to the point where we're really ready to roll this thing out. And to just have the rug pulled out from under us is ridiculous.
Well, basically, what I heard last week, what I'm hearing this week, is that your recommendation is to support this 4-county coordinator position and perhaps not the Riverview Center as far as Benton County is concerned. And so that's pretty well what I'm hearing for a recommendation from the law enforcement side.
Yes. I would say that's a true statement. What you guys do for Riverview, that's totally up to you guys. But we really garner your support on this proposal.
Right.
And we are looking today for a vote to support this project.
Can we do that? It doesn't say take action.
But this is for, just for clarification for minutes purposes, I'm not trying to interrupt. This is for the first, you're wanting this funding for this fiscal year, because that's what
Correct.
Tippett told me.
Correct.
So you, for the $13,000, you're wanting before June 1st, or June 30th.
Yes, correct. It's all
So
possible.
that's another thing, without looking in the budget, it's something, I'm just stating facts, so I just want to make sure everybody realizes it's in this fiscal year.
But it don't start till July, right? Or you want it now?
The current fiscal.
The current fiscal.
This current year?
Current fiscal.
I didn't think everybody was on that same page, so I wanted that
Sure.
clarification, sorry.
We can get back up and moving forward with our project.
Okay, then what about July 1st of this year then, 21?
I
You
would
gonna
assume
want it
this
again?
This would run for a year's cycle.
Is that
But then it
correct?
would still be in the
Is
fiscal year
that correct,
22.
Brandy?
Yeah, yeah. The plan is for it would begin, if possible, immediately, and then carry on until the next year for the ask.
But then if you're running it again in this time frame next year, that would be into fiscal year 22.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Do we have it? Can it be worked into the current year?
I would have to run numbers and figure that out. That's where I just wanted to make sure, before it got too further, because when I was looking back at last week's, I didn't know if everybody was on the same page of this fiscal year. So that's
Yeah, we
that's
were.
different.
Yeah, I figured
Understanding.
it was 21, 22.
Yep.
The
Too.
upcoming.
Yeah, and that's where I was like, this, you need to make it black and white and understand that. That's a big difference. So, you are asking for fiscal year 21 and 22,
Yes.
so.
My question is, on that letter that she sent out, she said she has been helping all the ones that she named in the letter. Have they?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay,
That's
Jerry?
that's why we're here.
Not to me in the last year.
I have referred victims to Riverview with their information, telling them to give a call. I know I've heard from victims saying they have called, but I have not heard back. I've never heard anything from an advocate saying, what's the status on this case, or is there a trial date set? Where are we at here? Generally I'm hearing directly from victims or families. And usually it goes through the advocate that, because that's generally how it works. That I have not had anything lately.
So back to my other question, are we able to take action on this? It's not,
Maybe we need to look at the budget and see if it's in there for this fiscal year and then just take action.
and then
I
have
hate,
it on the agenda as
we can look at
an
the
action
budget.
item, because
You
it's
take
not
action
on.
for the
I-
next year.
Yeah, that way you could do, you're requesting funding for next, we're currently in fiscal year 22, looking into the budgeting. So, I hate to prolong it another week, but I wanted clarification and better understanding what we're looking for. Because Ron told me he wasn't looking for fiscal year 22, and that's where, when you guys were talking, it's like, well, but next year, and I'm like, okay, but where are we at next year? So I wanted a better clarification for these guys to know, you're looking for $13,000 now, plus in a year from now, next January, February, let's say, you're looking for another $13,000. So that's 2 fiscal years you're looking at. So we have to look at this current budget and next year's budget to make sure you have that money available. So I'd say we need to look into that a little bit further.
Would that be prorated out for the balance of this fiscal year through June? And then 13 for 21, 22?
I think that would be up to,
Well, I think it's how it would be written in your contract. When is the allocation due? Because we have annual allocations that are made like in January. So it depends on how that's all written up in your contract, I would assume. I mean, you guys have different contracts, I'm assuming with the city that are paid at different times, so with your question, I don't know, it depends on how
Just for
that's.
sake of argument, it's about $1,100 a month. And so if we're looking at March, April, May, June, that's 4 months. Not a year.
But they're looking at
Through the fiscal. But what they're looking at is $26,000 for a total of 16 months. You get what I'm saying? Gentlemen, understand?
Yes.
Okay, and so what I'm saying, if it's 13 and a prorated part, which is another, 4.5, it's a horse of a different color. Make sense?
Does that make sense, Brandy?
Yeah, so we'd be looking at, 2022, we would be looking at getting funds allocated from CVAD in October. So it would not finish out the entire year of 2022. So we'd be looking at an award in October from CVAD for the after the application for the position.
I guess I didn't
I think it would be up to the auditor on how the
really follow that.
bookkeeping end would be the easiest for you.
Like I said, I think that goes, I mean, if you're gonna make a contract, I don't necessarily want Benton, I'm sure other counties that you're asking are in the same situation that we're in, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at this current fiscal year, and they're gonna be in the same situation. I don't want Benton County to stick out like a sore thumb, and, I mean, if you're looking at a 28E agreement with other counties, how are other counties doing it? I mean, why reinvent the wheel if the other counties are doing it? Let's see how they're doing it too, and maybe we can see if it works for everybody.
Well, 13 for 4 months
I know.
is a chunk of change. So that's where I'm wondering if it's prorated out to get to the fiscal.
I think Brandy had a comment.
I believe, from speaking with Sheriff Crawford, Jones County would be beginning this immediately. So that might be Sheriff who to speak to on how they plan on budgeting that out. And I know Clayton and Delaware were uncertain, and they also wanted to talk to the other counties on how they want to start the project right away, but they need to work through that. So that's something that we are approved through those other counties, but it's coming to the table and figuring out how, when the project starts and how the budget will go. I just know Jones is prepared to begin immediately.
I mean, you could do that and say, decide out the funding. I mean, if you wanted to get on board, like how she said with Clayton and Delaware are uncertain on the funding portion, they want to join forces, or, sign this and get this situated, but we're just not unsure on how to iron out all the funding. I mean, that's different ways you could look at it to get part of it started for you guys.
Right.
We should set up a meeting with the other counties, get that ironed out. We have tentative support from the board on this project.
I would say so.
Yes from here, from me.
So we'll get a meeting set up and then we'll bring back particulars. We'll make sure Gene's in the loop on this.
I'm not trying to throw a wrench in it, I just
No,
wanna make
no,
sure
no,
we're all in the
exactly.
same page,
It makes quite a difference on what you're
It's gotta be in
looking
your
for.
book, it's gotta be in
Yeah.
your bookkeeping.
And that's where I just don't want it to come out in the end and be like, well, why didn't you say something?
Yeah.
We need to make it black and white right now,
Yep.
so.
That's why you're there.
It's a good idea.
Okay.
It's a good idea.
I think you've got the support of the board.
We'll get with the other counties
We
and get
just
this
need to
ironed
know,
out.
yeah, how
Hopefully we
much.
can make it look the same for everybody.
Exactly.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
What about the item 13 while they're here? Or do you want to table that?
I guess we'll table it right now.
Okay.
Brandy, since you don't know just item 13, I don't know if it's on the agenda, is discuss Riverview Center funding for fiscal year '22. So they're gonna table that. So just so, since you're on the phone, you can't see what we're talking about.
Yep, okay, I'm gonna jump off then on that, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yep.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye.
You can keep those copies of the letters, you just wanna make sure.
I want Rick to read them too.
I'd like to, yes.
I'll get you copies of everything I've been sent in the last 24 hours, whole pile of it.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I'll give you a call after the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll run you up, give you out to your place.
Oh, yeah.
When you call me around here, I'll let you something out.
Thank you.
This one goes to Tracy.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah.
See you, Jerry.
See you later.
On your way by, you can drop them off to Rick, would you please? Thank you very much.
How's family doing, Ben?
Good.
Very good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've not seen this, I didn't get it.
Okay. Let's discuss proposal service agreement with Schneider. Shouldn't take too long, should it?
No, it
Ben?
Thank you. Oops, sorry.
Yep, thank you.
Well, like I said, different things, you put it in writing, you better back up what you say, so.
Yeah, that's right, thank you.
So
Okay.
essentially what this is for is, I know during Larry's assessor board, we discussed this about Schneider doing the splits for the GIS data.
Yep, friends.
Basically, I talked to Ryan, who was the sales guy with Schneider, and as you can see here, they've got it kind of split out on payments. So if we get it signed and then start March 1, they've got it prorated for this year, then they've got it for fiscal year, so it lines up just fine with fiscal year end and everything. And I think we should have enough in the GIS budget to cover this and have them basically in theory, how it's gonna work is I have another computer that I'm gonna basically set up, like a computer, like a user in the courthouse. We'll put ArcMap on it so they can get to all the mapping tools and software. And then Schneider will remote in and draw in those splits after, and there'll be some coordination between them and Larry's office on sending the splits over to them. So, and then they'll get in, draw in the splits, like where parcels get split out for land use opportunities, and like a lot of that along Highway 30 where that's the expansion, they'll draw in all that stuff, so then that way it'll tie in to show up on Beacon and everything in all of our software. The agreement is basically unlimited, so there's not like a limit on, okay, we can only do, 50 parcels this month. They know that we're a little bit behind on them, so they're like, yep, we're used to that, we know that, we'll just get in and just start working with it. From my standpoint, I think it's kind of a no-brainer, especially for the cost for a year of unlimited drawing in splits, rather than having another employee in the county trying to learn how to do it and struggle with it over time. I mean, these guys they went to school for GIS, they know GIS, they are in the software all day long, so it's not like it's like secondhand knowledge and they see it and can just do it without even thinking about it.
Are there any downfalls to outsourcing this?
I don't think so.
Just the money, I would say.
Yeah, just the money.
Just the money.
Just the money, but.
We're not used to,
Well, but we pay someone, we don't see a check being written, so to speak, for this in particular. But if there's county employees that are working on it, they're working on that versus something else. And so, yeah.
Is Larry the only one that draws them in currently, Ben?
yes.
Yes.
From what I've been told, they have a stack like this of splits. So, I mean,
That
And I think
includes
you've got property.
subdivisions too, correct?
What's that?
All the subdivisions too will get
Yes.
drawn in as well.
Yep.
So they work with the towns as well, or is this just the county?
No, that would be
That's
towns
everything.
as well.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's whatever changes are made within the county.
really.
So the towns, if there's a split in a town and we issue a parcel letter, it would be included.
The only question I got, Ben, now, the stack that he's behind on, are they gonna, we don't have to wait for Larry to get caught up with them, they're just gonna take
They're
them
just
and
gonna
run
take
with
them
it?
and do them.
That's what he said, they'll
Yeah.
just take them, run with them.
You know, I spoke with Ryan, the sales guy, I said,
Okay.
just so you know, we have quite a few of them, and he's like, oh, everybody does when they come in on this, so we're used to it.
Okay.
It's not like they're gonna be
That was a good
bombarded and
question.
be like, holy crap, we're
Okay.
So do you need
Too
a
much.
motion to approve?
Yes, I do.
You got it.
Second.
All in favor of hiring Schneider Professional Services?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. There we go.
And I can sign off on the contract and email it to them and get started with it.
Only you need to sign it. You don't need the board or anything.
They asked
Well,
who needs to sign it, and I said I could sign it since it was GIS related for the most part.
Okay.
Thank you.
Unless you guys, unless one of you guys want to sign it, I
I was
don't.
gonna say, it's coming out of your budget, so
Yeah.
thanks for investigating that, Ben.
No problem.
I know you've been dealing with it for last year, we had a little discrepancy, but this is
I
good.
think that's gonna make a lot of people happy.
Good.
It would make our office, because it needs to get updated.
It's really behind.
It's way behind. We gotta get that,
Especially with taxes and everything else.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we only got a couple minutes again, too, now to kill.
It may be that that company didn't realize how far behind.
Oh, I.
Well, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sure, like you said, they're not.
At every, I mean, quite a few county, I mean, pretty much all the state of Iowa, I'm not gonna say the entire state, but a lot of the smaller counties they assist with, and there's some of them, like he said, they don't even have any GIS department, they literally just fax over the splits, and Schneider has all the maps and everything, and they just put it up on Beacon, that's where they view it, so it's not like, they're not, I mean, we're a little bit farther ahead because we have all the GIS data in-house and everything, and it basically uploads to them over every night, but
is it effective then from today, Ben, today, or is the contract?
This is
from
March
today?
1.
March 1.
March 1.
I guess we're close enough to 10 o'clock, ain't we?
I would say,
Discuss,
looks like it's 10 o'clock. to me.
courthouse office space. I met with all parties involved last Tuesday to bring you guys up to date. We kinda tentatively agreed on, and that's why I'm running by everybody else, we vote on this. We're gonna send the probation officer for the juveniles upstairs to the supervisor's room. The only stipulation is that, this is me talking, not you two guys. I do not want the counter, the bench that's there is handmade. I do not want that removed.
It'd be best to make sure things work out before we go renovating.
That's right. That
And
was
there's
my
room there
opinion.
where you can put a table in front of that if need be.
Well, yeah, I said we get, you don't need the old chairs against the wall, they can come out. But I mean, that's more than enough space and countertop, cause he has a second employee, I guess. You know,
She
so
found
there's enough room for the distance at the COVID right now, you know. The only thing I said that's questionable about is that, which I said last week, we cannot do anything with the front doors coming in, cause that's the original part of the courthouse. Cannot touch that. But the door going into the judge's chamber is a hollow core door. I said, just as of right now, if there's an issue down the road where, you know, for HIPAA compliant, for being quiet, we could change that door out to a solid core door.
Well, if I remember correctly, there's a door from the magistrate's courtroom
Yep.
between that room and the chambers.
Yes.
If they would shut that door,
Correct?
it would keep a lot of that noise into that courtroom.
Correct.
And so may not even need it.
That's
If
why,
both
that's
doors
why
are shut.
I don't wanna move on that door, even the door yet, just. So,
Yep.
I guess I thought we need to vote on this to change the offices, since we're losing our space, and we're
And
coming
so-
over here from now on.
Mark would take over the current GIS room,
Correct?
correct? And where juvenile detention's at, that would then become the
GSF,
GSI room,
Correct.
training room, et
Yep.
cetera.
yep.
Okay, and, so, yeah, I don't see an issue with that at all.
You?
And if it doesn't work, back to square one.
Yeah.
So what do you need?
Just a motion to accept the changes in the office spaces in the courthouse.
You got it.
Second.
All in favor?
Fine.
Aye.
Done deal, guys.
Now, do you think we could get the maintenance staff to move those maps?
We talked about it last week.
Okay,
One of them assured me that he was gonna do it last week. I volunteered to help because I did move the chairs
I see that.
that are here.
Yeah.
But,
There's
With the
coat rack
snow
over
and
there,
the
which would be
cold.
kinda nice.
yep, and there again, it's, I don't wanna put any more on the auditors.
Yep.
We need to clean our desk out.
Yep. Oh, yeah, we need to take our own stuff.
Yes.
Mhm.
And which I haven't done that either.
No, then we need to be able to have storage space.
Yes, I said I will come and try to figure out some kind of hasp or lock system that the auditor will be in charge of the closets there.
Okay.
But
Walk-
in here, she should be able to set up her stuff and leave it so she doesn't have to run back and forth. Wouldn't that be helpful?
But some of this stuff should, like he's saying, should be locked up, you know, like the iPad and stuff, that way,
Yeah.
cause it's, other people use this office, you don't want someone to
Oh, absolutely
walk
not.
off with that, and
No,
then
but-
very
And
limited
we don't
people
know,
should have
maybe
it.
down the road, there might be an extra bigger
But
room
you
that's
could-
empty that we can take
Yeah,
over.
but she doesn't,
It
you
is
guys
nice
don't
to
have to bring
have
your
the
stuff
outside
back and
door.
forth.
I like it.
Yeah.
So
No
it's
staff.
not
But
such a
like,
hassle.
just more secure
Yes.
than this, because
Yes.
I don't, since there's other people that occupy this other than Benton County employees, it needs to be under lock and key, right, Ben? I guess I shouldn't speak,
Yeah,
it's
I was
IT stuff.
I was gonna ask, since I know we discussed in the meeting about moving cameras and removing cameras, I didn't know if you thought, since we're pretty close to the switch closet, I didn't know if we wanted to move one of those cameras into here, just for security reasons, that way in case something walks off, that
Yeah.
we have some sort of way to capture it.
If you're cold and looking for something warm to do, I'm giving you permission to take some of the cameras out of our old room that they do not want. The one in the back
I
anyway.
think it was that one in the back, one we were gonna turn towards the
Yep.
doorway.
Yep. And you have my blessings to come over here to,
Okay.
And it may be more feasible just to disconnect the camera and not mess with the ceiling tile and just add one. I mean, they're not that expensive. So
I mean, I'd rather use it than
you
what is up there.
can pursue that and see what.
It's not that, I mean, they're literally just little hole, there's a little hole that passes through the network cable and it comes down and stuff.
I was thinking there's some over there that are fairly good sized.
That might be the old ones.
Yeah, those are probably the old ones.
They work very good to threaten your children with. That Santa's watching, just so you know.
So then I think another thing that we discussed was the phones on the desk. Like we discussed getting rid of all of them besides the one over here, because we don't, I mean, you guys barely use them, and it just makes more sense just to send them back and get rid of them and
Don't you
just have
agree?
one.
instead of have 4 phones,
Just have
just
one.
have one.
And we could even talk about possibly getting this one replaced with one that is more of a speakerphone type phone that can pick up
That'd
bigger
probably be
sound
better.
area.
On a side note, since we're talking about the phones for a second, how did the situation yesterday come out?
Yesterday.
Phones
Phones were
weren't
down.
Oh, I think possibly Friday, they did a reboot on the system and it never fully came back up. The interface that goes out, basically the phone system was up, our phones were communicating with it. But the secondary interface that goes out there, basically the SIP the SIP trunks wasn't working. And it appeared that you rebooted the system and it all came back up.
Okay.
Because from my standpoint, it looked like it was up because I have basically a thing that pings their server and it will email me if it's down. So I know that their system's down, but I didn't know from there on.
It wasn't down that long though, then yesterday?
No, it wasn't. No.
Okay, okay.
I knew about it when Secondary Road got a hold of me and said, hey, we're having issues over here. And then I tested it. And then I let him know and he resolved it pretty quickly.
Okay.
We've been working in the process of trying to get the other issues we've been having with the phone system figured out. So I'm assuming they made some sort of change on Friday because I noticed it that my phone rebooted at Friday about 5:30, thinking that they're going in and tweaking some things and working some stuff, which I'm assuming they did that. And we may have been down
I got.
the entirety of the weekend. I don't know for sure.
Six
I
for
didn't
conservation.
make any calls or anything like that.
Well, that should
And I haven't,
the problems they've been having static.
so far, nobody
We
in the
think so.
access
I don't know
center.
for sure.
They said no.
It may be a case of we have to.
And I haven't been this other side yet.
We'll see.
Mona, and I don't know if they're.
But we are working on it, trying to.
Oh, I didn't look in there.
Yeah, I don't know if they're there. But I will check when I get down here, okay?
And Myron's gonna be working on that.
Good, okay.
He's working on it.
Okay,
But I got pretty much everybody else. I have a couple
Okay.
people that,
Courtney said she was gonna call her doctor today.
yeah.
okay.
So we'll find out with that, and otherwise, we're in pretty good shape. Secondary Road will let me know. Oh, is the veterans gal here?
I don't know.
I didn't even
That's
notice.
another one I was gonna talk to, but if you're going out that way, would you
I'll
please
peek
stop?
in there and see.
I'll let you know as soon as I hear back from
That'd be
Courtney.
great, thanks. And then we'll get that done.
Gary, I'll give you a heads up and I'll tell
Routes a
you.
little bit differently.
This is for the parking lot out here, well, using the mental health money to spend down for the parking lot. We never got a figure from anybody yet, how much it's gonna cost. I jumped on it, hired somebody to do it, it's $4 a foot, I got it done $4 a foot. So, I measured from the curb, huh? Over 20 foot. 120 long, 20 foot wide. Haley needs, they need to know a number
There's ways
in
they
the
can
budget
work
for
with
the
that
coming year. Understand? So,
Probably don't need a new home.
Or might be like a hybrid basis.
well, I just said floodwater will originally I thought it was over here, but then, well, since we're moved over here,
Then it might be a case of, like I was thinking,
now we need it.
switch over. Maybe I can, you know, extension.
Just
Yeah,
off.
make calls out.
So you can figure how much you wanna spend.
This is 120 feet.
Yeah.
Two ends to see how it works. One of them.
And this $9,600 is for
Labor.
40. Oh,
20 feet wide, that's labor, material, land,
Where they
and
have
rebar.
more of an issue than.
I think they're having more of an issue just because they're on the phone all the time.
This is how much the concrete actually
Both
costs.
If you don't have the phone for 5-10 minutes,
$30 a yard.
Yeah,
they might not be experiencing the same issue as somebody else.
I think you gotta make it
6 inches.
And I can't say that on the phone call. It could be the case.
So what are we looking at for total cost?
Well, like I said, you say how much you wanna spend and you can go how many feet it is. So, understand?
Yeah.
I'll bring this to Rick now.
This is parking lot?
Yes. I contacted the guy that does the concrete work over here at the building.
Yeah.
I measured, I did all the legwork, It's 120 feet from the curb sidewalk out here to the edge where it's gravel right now, right out here. All right, 20 feet wide and 120 feet long. I got him down to $4 a square foot, put down. Material, rebar and everything. Rebar is 3 foot on center. It's gonna cost $9,600 for 20 feet wide by 120 foot. So, I also figured how many yards of concrete it is. It's 45 yards of concrete, and that's what concrete price is, and you figure out what the labor is, of course. So then you can figure out how much money there is to spend from the account of
Right.
how far you wanna go.
Well, the whole thing needs done. I'd hate to go,
All the way out?
personally, I think so.
Okay.
I really do.
I never measured the whole works, but I mean, it'll scare you.
Well, Ben Verlin had been working on all this,
Okay,
and he has this all laid out. He
okay,
was also working on area out front.
okay,
I think forget that out front.
yeah.
Because we tie into that, we gotta change the, yeah, sorry about,
You're fine, you're fine.
here you go. You'd have to change the approach to the building, et cetera. So,
But see, they needed some kind of price to put in the budget this fiscal year,
yep,
and how much to ask for. Well, I don't think you can ask for a couple $100,000.
well, then, if we did this parking lot, that's what we were proposing
Okay,
before you came on,
okay,
that we would do the whole thing. But then you also need to go down this way
yeah,
and take in consideration the food pantry area, you know, on the south side of that building.
And so it's either yes, I do,
And make it heavy enough that they can take the truck traffic.
6 inches, take it.
yeah.
Single bill for the bell shop? Okay. If
With
there's some available.
proper material added, you know.
Okay.
And then.
If they put fiberglass
Get a
in,
hold of
concrete,
Rebar.
well, rebar, but don't they put fiberglass in?
No,
Really?
you can, but I mean, it's, I don't believe in it either, so,
Oh, really?
yeah.
I thought it helped bond it together and make it stronger.
They say it does, but does it?
I don't know.
Yeah. You know, I've done 2 buildings and I wanted to see how they come out, catalogs. I did one with rebar, one with fiberglass. I do know the fiberglass has not held up as good as rebar.
Or would you use it in conjunction with rebar?
No, usually one or the other.
Huh.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Are you discussing the parking lot out here?
Yeah,
Have you applying for urban stormwater
no,
funds
no,
to help pay for it?
no,
No?
haven't. We're talking about spending, money down for,
Spend down out of the mental health,
yeah,
you know, but if there is other funding available as well,
yeah,
that would sure make some sense.
Typically, if they're urban stormwater funds, in the state of Iowa, they require you to do some like bioswales or rain gardens or something.
Yeah.
But there might be some money available for something like that.
That'd be pretty sweet.
I could ask around if you want me to.
sure, would you?
Yeah.
All right, we'll just dump
Not
the water.
a, not
over
a
there on
cheap
the
thing to
garden.
do, new parking lot.
When you got all that water from the concrete that's not soaking in, it's gonna run off.
Yep. Yeah, that's what they're funding is for.
Okay, Adam.
Ready?
Yep.
2 things. First, we had our bid opening on Friday here. Fortunately, we were able to have it. Roads were okay to get up here. We had, so just to recap, there was 4 projects associated with the contract. And this is the table of all the contractors and their bid prices for the work. Engineer's estimate was $1.1 million. Low bid was PCI at $758,463. So
significantly lower than we were anticipating, which is good. About $360,000 in savings that we can utilize somewhere else for other projects. PCI has already completed several contracts for us. And we did not see any reason not to recommend contract for them. Their bonding was good and insurance is fine. So unless you guys have any questions, I would entertain a motion to approve contract or move the contract with 2 different contractors for the highlighted amount, so we can get them started here in probably about a month or so. And then for reference, I have the bid tabs of all the bids for each project, so you can kind of see what contractors are bidding on dirt work and supplies. But the front sheet is just a summary of all that together.
I'd make the motion that we accept the low bid from PCI for the Watershed project here.
You got it listed on here for each project then?
Yes,
Mark?
each one.
Okay,
for
yeah,
each
Jorgensen,
schedule.
yep, got it.
Yeah, there's 10 contractors, so there's like a few pages for each project.
Yep, understood.
Yep, so it could be front, back, 5 pages.
Got it. Okay, we got a motion from Mr. Brimmer,
Second.
and a second from Mr. Beershane. All in favor of approving the contract of PCI for the Middle Cedar Watershed?
Aye.
Aye.
And I think we're tentatively scheduled to have our contractors meeting for this project on the 25th here, so that's a Thursday. Typically, we have the contractor bring in their signed contract for you to sign, Rick, at that time, or Tracy, whoever.
We changed horses there.
Oh, okay, well, Tracy then. So at that point, I could come find you anytime after that, just have it signed since it was approved for the contract.
That's
I
good.
believe that's gonna be at 11 a.m. I'll send you more details when I get a hold of PCI.
Did, curiosity, in the bad weather, did they all show up Friday for their,
I had one that mailed them in, everyone else dropped them off.
really?
Yep.
Cool.
As far as I know, we didn't miss any. There weren't any in the PO box, so.
Okay.
Biggest opening we've had.
Yeah.
So that's-
Well,
I was a little fearful that we weren't gonna have as many people, but people made it work, but they had 2 weeks to get the bids in, so it's not like we could've, the only request we had was, if there was a call-in option, and obviously didn't plan to have a blizzard, so I didn't have that set up, but that wasn't a real big issue. But no, it was good.
Okay. We got vacation carryover request.
Yeah, and so I got a request to carry over my unused vacation hours, which is 40 hours that this last year was so busy, and then with COVID, I just didn't utilize. And so this was just a written request of what I'd like to do versus what I have available. And obviously, it's your guys' decision if that's possible, or if you allow that. If not, I guess I'll be on vacation starting now, or tomorrow. I don't know if you want me to read this aloud or not. but-
no. Okay, so, make a motion that we carry over his vacation.
You're gonna stipulate how long or how soon?
I have it in here
It's in
that,
here.
request of 40 hours be added to next year's balance for total 120 hours to be used no later than anniversary date of February 21. Subsequent earned vacation would be followed by county handbook policy, depending on employment status. So.
Okay.
Ben gave us a copy of that handbook policy last week.
I think it's 7 years of service before you get the 120 hours. I'm at just under 5, so.
Okay.
After next year, if I'm still employed, then it would go back down to just the regular 80 hours for a year, and then it would jump up. So,
Okay, do I have a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go.
alright.
Does he
Want
need a
this back?
signature on this? No?
Nope, you got the
Adam, you
motion.
want this?
Okay.
That's for your guys' records if you want them, right?
Yep, as long as they've got it at the auditor's office.
Yep.
Okay, great,
That should be everything I got.
good, thank you.
Unless you guys have any questions.
Nothing here.
Alright, thank you.
Any more on that parking lot? Any other items?
No, the only thing I give you is the conservation update.
Okay.
Some of the things I can give out tonight or today. They are gonna move ahead and gonna cover 14 acres with, ground chips from the city of Cedar Rapids. They're gonna cover north of the Fry Park, out of town here, a mile by the dog pound. There's 6 acres there, and then, also some ground that they own by the ranch out there. They got some ground out there too, I guess. 7 acres. They're gonna cover it with the wood chips. Gonna put it in there, I guess, 6 foot deep and let it decay. That's a way that they're gonna generate money anywhere between, they're thinking 150,000, could be up to as much as 300,000. That was one thing.
And this land is not in production or
No,
not utilized or
No,
anything of that nature?
nothing.
Is it gonna create any issues with adjacent property owners?
That I don't know. That's
I mean, you pile it up 6 foot high,
I'm worried, which they knew, I definitely stated this, I'm more worried about a fire.
it's smoldered for quite a while. And there's rodents and we really hate bringing other counties' problems into ours.
This is,
I
their
thought we
board,
had enough problems.
yeah, the board voted for this.
I get that, and we have little to no say.
Correct.
I understand.
So, just bring that up, and then, they've, kinda decided on who the new director is, but I do not wanna say, cause it was just decided last night, and the other applications will need to be notified,
Mhm.
so.
Okay.
I guess that's about it. They got a price on a building, I will say this, putting a building up down at Hannon Lake.
Right.
They got a sticker shock last night,
Okay.
so kinda on hold now with the building.
Well, they need a shop building, there's no doubt about it.
Yes,
They really do.
yes,
But price of materials has just gone through the roof.
yes, so that's about it.
Okay. I give you my reports.
Okay, you got anything? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And I will second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.